Find insight, guidance, and answers. Tune into Spirit with radio medium Laura Lee.
This is Laura Lee tuning into Spirit for my special guest caller, Sandra.
Hello, Laura.
I'm so glad you could join us. Sandra, where are you calling from?
Carmel, Indiana, just north of Indianapolis.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. And the first impression I'm receiving is a male figure coming up on your right side. And to me, it almost feels paternal. And I get a strong connection. He's making reference with a name connection to a son and or a grandson that is very close to you and present. Does this make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
And so this is your father, I'm assuming, on the other side.
Yes.
Yes, and he's with you, darling. This is a spirit guide to your son. So he's watching over him very carefully. And we're talking a young man here. We're talking still teens. Is that correct?
Yes, 17.
Yeah, so he's watching out for him because this is a load for you.
Yes, very stressful load.
So are you a single parent?
I am.
Yes, and that's what he's telling me. So I know you feel like you're exhausted and left with limited resources, but he wants you to know he sees the situation and you're not doing it alone. All right. And one of the things that I get is there's a lot of testosterone in him right now. So it's a lot of energy and it might be a lot of aggression. And there also might have been a punch to a wall or something of this sort. Does this make sense?
A lot of aggression. There's not been any punch to the wall yet. And I hope not. But yes, a lot of aggression.
Do you hear him throwing stuff or anything like that? And he's in your house, correct?
He is. Some throwing of things, but limited.
Okay, so Dad's just reconfirming this as a confirmation about his presence watching him, all right? And now I understand his biological father really was not very involved in his life much at all. Does that make sense? Maybe even part-time.
Right, not at all.
Yeah, and I feel like your father's influence did have a lot to impact on him growing up.
Yes.
And so you have to understand his influence has a lot more impact later on down the road. So I don't think you have to worry as much as that you're giving energy to it, okay? But I also feel like he might be in some sort of counseling as well, and or you're directing his attention to get some counseling. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm looking to get him into some counseling, but I have not found anybody yet.
Well, this is Dad's way of saying trying to get you the support you need. And then also, there's something to do with military. I don't know if this is talk around him or also Dad had some sort of involvement with the military at some point. Does this make sense?
Yes, my dad was in the Navy.
Right. And so there's talk about some sort of influence with your own son having some direction and guidance in that area as well. Have you considered that? Or have you discussed it with your son?
We've discussed it, and it's not an option he wants to explore.
Well, that discussion that you brought up, at least you're setting the seed, because I think this is something your father would do as well.
Okay.
The other thing that Dad wants to say is, I know all this is stressing you out, but I just get he needs some focus and maybe some attention. Maybe a job outside the home might help him refocus his energy, but he wouldn't put aside the whole military thing. Maybe that's something you need to keep bringing up to him.
Okay.
Even though he's not game on it, and I totally understand that.
Right.
And speaking of game, I do see him playing video games.
On occasion, he does, yes.
The violent ones, according to your father.
Yeah.
So his head's already there, according to your father. That's what I'm getting. All right. So, Sandra, do you do like medipedis and all that stuff and really take care of your girly girl time?
I do.
Yeah. Dad says you need some more of those times. Okay.
Okay.
Because that might help balance things out when it comes to managing him. But I think in all, given your dad's influence, he's going to be fine in the long run. Okay?
Okay. Good to hear.
Yeah. And he's just going through the teen years.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of it. But it might help him to get the counseling support like Dad suggested.
Yeah.
I think that's one way of you reaching out and trying to get the help and the support. And I think that's the right track for you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sandra, for sharing your time with me.
Thank you for having me. That has opened up a lot.
Well, good, because you know what? I wouldn't have a show unless you were here. So thank you.
You're welcome.
If you'd like to call into the show like Sandra, sign up at radiomediumlauralee.com. And thank you for subscribing and sharing our show. We appreciate it.